Jane Williams pressed herself against the cold marble pillar, her heart slamming against her ribs as gunfire erupted across the Seoul warehouse. Glass shattered. Men shouted in Korean. And somewhere in the smoke and chaos, Cha Jae-won was bleeding. "Stay down!" he barked, returning fire as 3 masked attackers advanced from the loading dock. His white shirt was torn, blood seeping through the fabric at his shoulder, but his hands remained steady on the weapon. This wasn't how tonight was supposed to go. Jane had infiltrated his engagement party an hour ago with one simple mission: identify the assassination attempt, intervene, and disappear. Clean, professional, anonymous. Instead, she'd kissed Korea's most dangerous mafia boss in front of 200 witnesses, saved his life, and was now pinned down in a firefight at his warehouse while someone very determined tried to finish what they'd started. "We need to move," Jane shouted over the gunfire. She'd counted at least 8 hostiles, all professionally trained, all coordinated. This wasn't some amateur revenge hit. This was an execution. Jae-won's dark eyes met hers through the smoke. "Who the hell are you?" "Someone who's starting to regret saving your life." Jane returned fire, dropping one attacker. "Back exit now." They moved together, Jane covering their retreat as Jae-won kicked open the emergency door. The alley behind the warehouse was dark, rain-slicked, lined with dumpsters and fire escapes. Jane's heels clicked against wet pavement as they ran. "This way." Jae-won grabbed her wrist, pulling her into a recessed doorway just as bullets sparked off the brick beside them. They pressed into the shadows, both breathing hard. Jane could feel the heat radiating from his body, smell the expensive cologne mixed with gunpowder and blood. His hand was still wrapped around her wrist, his thumb against her racing pulse. "You're bleeding," she said. "Flesh wound." His voice was low, controlled. "Answer my question. Who are you, and why did you save me?" "Jane Williams, Interpol Intelligence." She pulled free from his grip, peering around the corner. The attackers were regrouping, sweeping the alley. "And I saved you because you helped my brother 3 years ago. Trafficking ring in Busan. Marcus Williams." Recognition flickered across his face. "The American kid who tried to be a hero. He's 19. He was stupid and brave, and you got him out alive." Jane checked her weapon. "For rounds left. I pay my debts. By crashing my engagement party and kissing me?" A hint of amusement cut through the danger in his voice. "It was the fastest way to create a distraction. The waiter was about to poison your champagne." Jane met his gaze. "You're welcome, by the way. I haven't decided whether to thank you or kill you yet. Get in line. Right now, someone else is trying to beat you to it." Sirens wailed in the distance. Jae-won muttered something in Korean that sounded like a curse. "Police, we need to leave. Now." "We?" Jane raised an eyebrow. "I'm thinking our partnership ends here. You just killed 3 of my attackers and saved my life twice in one night. You think they're going to let you walk away?" Jae-won's hand shot out, catching her chin, forcing her to look at him. "Whoever wants me dead knows you interfered. You're a target now, Miss Williams. The only question is whether you face that alone or with someone who has the resources to keep you alive." Jane's mind raced through scenarios. He was right. She'd blown her cover spectacularly. Interpol would disavow any knowledge of her actions. And whoever had orchestrated tonight's attack had serious resources and reach. "What are you proposing?" "Come with me. Help me find who's trying to kill me. In exchange, I'll give you information on every trafficking network operating between here and Los Angeles. And I'll keep you breathing." "That's quite an offer." "I'm a generous man." His thumb brushed along her jawline, a gesture that should have felt threatening, but instead sent an unwelcome shiver down her spine. "When I want to be." The sound of footsteps echoed closer. "Decision time." "Fine," Jane said. "But we do this my way. And the moment you lie to me, I'm gone." "Agreed." Jae-won released her, pulling out his phone and typing rapidly. "Cars arriving in 30 seconds. Try to keep up. I'm the one who had to drag you out of that warehouse. And I'm the one who knows these streets." That dangerous smile played at his lips again. "This should be interesting, Miss Williams." A sleek black Mercedes screeched around the corner. They ran for it, Jane providing cover fire as Jae-won yanked open the door. She dove in after him, and the car was moving before the door even closed. Jane pressed her fingers to his shoulder wound, applying pressure. "You need a doctor." "I have one. Discreet, doesn't ask questions." Jae-won's face was pale but composed. "You're good in a fight. 4 years field training, 2 years active intelligence operations." Jane kept pressure on the wound, watching his face for signs of shock. "You're not bad yourself for a businessman." "I stopped being just a businessman a long time ago." His hand covered hers on his shoulder, not removing it, just holding it there. "That kiss. Was it really just a distraction?" Jane's breath caught. In the dim light of the car, with adrenaline still coursing through her veins and his blood on her hands, the question felt dangerous in ways that had nothing to do with bullets. "Does it matter?" "It might." His eyes held hers. "Since we're apparently partners now. Partners who are trying not to get killed. Let's focus on that." But even as Jane said it, she was acutely aware of his hand still covering hers, of the way his pulse jumped beneath her fingers, of the heat building between them in the confined space of the car. This was going to be complicated. Jane woke up in a bedroom she didn't recognize. She sat up, reaching instinctively for her weapon. "It's on the nightstand." Jae-won's voice came from the doorway, along with coffee, breakfast, and a full security briefing. He leaned against the frame, wearing black slacks and a white shirt unbuttoned at the collar. The bandage on his shoulder was barely visible beneath the fabric. He looked infuriatingly put together for someone who'd been shot 48 hours ago. "Where am I?" Jane asked. "My apartment. Penthouse level. Safest place in Seoul, considering someone wants both of us dead." He pushed off the doorframe, moving into the room with that predatory grace she was starting to recognize. "Your things are in the closet. My people retrieved them from your hotel." "Your people broke into my hotel room?" "I prefer to think of it as proactive asset protection." Jae-won set a coffee cup on the nightstand. "Cream, no sugar. You strike me as someone who likes their coffee honest." Jane couldn't argue with that, or with the fact that the coffee smelled incredible. "So what now?" "Now we find who wants me dead." He pulled out a tablet, swiping through security footage. The warehouse attack was coordinated with military precision. Inside knowledge of my schedule, my routes, my security protocols. This wasn't opportunistic. This was planned. "How many people have that level of access?" 7. My head of security. 3 senior lieutenants. My personal assistant. My business manager. He paused. "And my fiancée." There it was. Jane took the tablet, studying the footage. "Hong Yesool. The woman who looked ready to kill me when I kissed you. Yesool and I have an arrangement. Our engagement is strategic, merging 2 powerful families. There's no love involved. But there's money, power, inheritance." Jane looked up at him. "What happens to all that if you die before the wedding?" "It goes to her. We signed agreements 6 months ago." Jae-won's expression was unreadable. "But Yesool has no reason to want me dead. She gains more from the marriage than from my death. Unless she's not working alone. Or unless there's something you don't know about her finances." Jane stood, very aware she was wearing only the tank top and shorts she'd slept in. "I need access to everything. Financial records, communication logs, movement patterns for all 7 suspects." "That's asking for a lot of trust." "You brought me to your home, Jae-won." She moved closer, holding his gaze. "You already trust me. The question is whether you trust me enough to actually let me help you." He was quiet for a long moment, something unreadable flickering in his dark eyes. Then he nodded. "My office. 1 hour. I'll have everything ready." "Good." Jane moved past him toward the bathroom, then paused. "And Jae-won? Thank you for the coffee." His rare, genuine smile did something to her insides that she absolutely refused to analyze. "You're welcome, Jane." The sound of her name in his voice followed her into the shower, where she tried very hard not to think about the man on the other side of the door. Jae-won's private office was a study in controlled power. Dark wood, leather furniture, technology so advanced it probably wasn't legal. Jane settled into the chair beside his desk, pulling up financial records on her laptop while he made calls in rapid Korean. Kim's bringing the security logs from the last 6 months, Jae-won said, switching to English as he ended the call. And I've arranged for my business manager to provide full accounting records. Won't that make them suspicious? I'm telling them it's for tax purposes. Audit preparation. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. You're very good at this. At what? Analyzing data. You've been cross-referencing financial records for 20 minutes and you've already flagged 3 anomalies. Jane glanced up. Actually, your business manager made a large cash withdrawal 2 weeks before the engagement party. 50 million won. No explanation in the ledger. Jae-won's expression hardened. Park? I've known him for 5 years. Which makes him either trustworthy or the perfect traitor. Jane pulled up another file. But there's something else. Look at these communication patterns. She turned her laptop so he could see. Jae-won moved behind her chair, leaning over to study the screen. Jane tried to ignore the way his proximity made her skin hum with awareness. These are Yesool's phone records, he said. Notice anything unusual? His finger traced a pattern on the screen, just inches from Jane's shoulder. She's been calling the same number repeatedly, several times a day, but I don't recognize it. It's a burner phone, purchased with cash, activated 3 months ago. Jane pulled up a map. And look where the calls are placed from. She's never at home when she makes them. Always restaurants, shopping centers, public places where the calls can't be easily monitored. She's hiding them. Or she's having an affair. Jane watched Jae-won's face carefully. Would that surprise you? No. His answer was immediate, honest. Our engagement is political. We both understood that. But if she's having an affair, why the secrecy? I wouldn't care. Unless it's not just an affair. Unless whoever she's calling is part of the plan to kill you. The silence that followed was heavy with implication. Jane could hear Jae-won's breathing, could feel the tension radiating from him. When she turned to look up at him, his face was inches from hers. If Yesool is involved, he said quietly, then I've been sleeping beside someone who wants me dead for 6 months. We don't know for sure yet. This is just one piece of the puzzle. But even as Jane said it, her instincts were screaming. The evidence was circumstantial, but it was mounting. We need to identify who she's calling. I can trace the phone. Jae-won straightened, pulling out his own phone. Give me the number. As he made the call, Jane returned to the financial records. Something was bothering her. A pattern she couldn't quite see. Money movements that seemed legitimate on the surface but felt wrong somehow. My tech team will have a location within the hour, Jae-won said. They're good. Better than Interpol? Let's find out. He settled into the chair beside her, close enough that their shoulders brushed. Show me what else you've found. They worked in comfortable silence, the kind that surprised Jane. She wasn't used to partners in her investigations, preferred to work alone where she didn't have to explain her thought processes. But with Jae-won, she found herself thinking out loud, bouncing theories off him, valuing his insights into the criminal psychology she could only study from the outside. Here, she said, pulling up a shell corporation. This company made payments to 6 different accounts over the last 3 months. Small amounts, nothing that would trigger automatic flags. But look at the total. 200 million won. Enough to hire a very professional assassination team. Jane traced the money trail. And look where the company is registered. Cayman Islands. Classic money laundering structure. Can you find who owns it? Give me time. Jane's fingers flew across the keyboard, diving deeper into corporate records, tax filings, anything that might reveal the truth. She was so focused she didn't notice Jae-won watching her until he spoke. You love this, he said. The hunt. Putting the pieces together. It's what I'm good at. Jane glanced at him. What about you? Do you love what you do? That's a complicated question. Most honest questions are. Jae-won was quiet for a moment, his gaze distant. I didn't choose this life. My father built this organization, and when he died, I inherited it. Along with all the enemies, all the debts, all the blood. He looked at her. But I'm good at it. And I've learned that sometimes the only way to reduce harm is to control the source of it. That's a very philosophical way of describing organized crime. I'm a very philosophical criminal. That hint of amusement returned to his voice. Does that bother you? Working with someone like me? Jane considered the question seriously. 3 weeks ago it would have. But I've seen enough in my career to know that morality isn't always black and white. You shut down that trafficking ring that saved my brother. You could have exploited it, profited from it. Instead, you destroyed it. I have lines I don't cross. We all do. Jane held his gaze. The question is whether those lines align closely enough for us to work together. And do they? I think so. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. The moment stretched between them, charged with something Jane didn't want to name. Then Jae-won's phone buzzed, shattering it. They found the phone, he said, reading the message. His expression darkened. It's registered to Lee Min-jun. Who's that? My second lieutenant. One of my most trusted men. Jae-won stood, rage barely contained beneath his calm exterior. He's been with me for 7 years. Saved my life twice. Jane's stomach sank. Betrayal was always hardest when it came from someone close. Jae-won, we need more proof before we confront him. If Yesool and Lee are working together, then they die together. His voice was ice. Or we use them to find out who else is involved. Jane stood, moving to block his path to the door. You want revenge or you want the truth? I want both. Then trust me. Let me do this right. She put her hand on his chest, feeling his heart pounding beneath her palm. Please. He looked down at her hand, then at her face. Some of the fury drained from his expression. What do you propose? We watch them, monitor their communications, see who else they contact, build a complete picture before we move. Jane didn't remove her hand. Can you do that? Can you be patient? I've never been very good at patience. Try. For me. The words hung in the air between them. Jae-won's hand came up to cover hers on his chest. Why do I get the feeling you're going to be the most dangerous person I've ever worked with? Because I am. Jane smiled despite the tension. But I'm on your side. Remember that. I will. His thumb stroked across her knuckles. Jane, that kiss at the party. Was it? A knock on the door interrupted them. They stepped apart as one of Jae-won's men entered. Sir, Miss Hong is here to see you. Jae-won's expression became unreadable. Send her in. Jane moved to gather her laptop, but Jae-won caught her wrist. Stay. If she's involved, I want to see how she reacts to you. Yesool entered like she owned the space, elegant in a cream designer suit. Her hair swept up in a perfect chignon. Her smile was warm until she saw Jane. Then it frosted over. I didn't realize you had company, Yesool said in perfect English. Miss Williams is helping with security analysis, Jae-won replied smoothly. After the warehouse attack, we're reviewing all our protocols. How thorough. Yesool's gaze raked over Jane, dismissive and cold. Though I'm surprised you need outside help. Don't we have people for this? We have 7 people with full access to our security systems, Jane said, watching Yesool's reaction carefully, which makes the inside knowledge of our attackers particularly concerning. Unless you think it was just luck that they knew exactly where and when to strike. Yesool's smile never wavered, but Jane saw the flash in her eyes. Anger, and something else. Fear? How terrible, Yesool said. Do you have any suspects? We're narrowing it down. Jae-won moved to stand beside Jane. A subtle signal of alliance that Yesool definitely noticed. Was there something you needed? Just to confirm our dinner plans tonight. 8 o'clock at Mingle's. Unless you're too busy playing detective. The barb was aimed at Jane. We'll be there, Jae-won said. Yesool's eyebrows rose. Miss Williams will be joining us. Her presence tends to make potential attackers think twice. The silence that followed was arctic. Jane watched emotions flicker across Yesool's perfectly made-up face. Rage, jealousy, calculation. How cozy, Yesool finally said. I'll inform the restaurant to add another seat. Though I do hope Miss Williams owns something appropriate for a Michelin-starred establishment. I'll manage, Jane said dryly. After Yesool left, Jane turned to Jae-won. That was deliberate. You're using me to provoke her. I'm using the situation to see how she reacts under pressure. There's a difference. Is there? Jane crossed her arms. Or are you enjoying making your fiancé jealous? Jae-won's smile was sharp. Would it bother you if I was? It would bother me if personal drama interfered with the investigation. And if it wasn't just drama? He stepped closer, voice dropping. If I told you that I haven't been able to stop thinking about that kiss? That every time you walk into a room, I forget why we're supposed to maintain professional distance. Jane's breath caught. This was dangerous territory. The kind that could compromise everything. Jae-won. I know. Bad timing. Terrible idea. But he didn't step back. Doesn't make it less true. Before Jane could respond, his phone rang. He answered it, his expression shifting from heated to deadly serious in an instant. When? He said sharply. I'll be there in 20 minutes. He ended the call, already moving toward the door. One of my warehouses just exploded. 3 men dead, 6 injured. Jane grabbed her jacket. I'm coming with you. Jane, this isn't your fight? Too late for that. She checked her weapon. Someone's escalating, which means we're running out of time. Their eyes met. Jae-won nodded once. Stay close to me. Always. They ran for the door together, neither one acknowledging that always implied a future Jane hadn't planned on having with Korea's most dangerous mafia boss. But as they raced through Seoul streets toward another attack, another crisis, another moment where one of them might die, Jane realized the truth she'd been avoiding. She wasn't just working with Cha Jae-won anymore. She was falling for him. The warehouse was still burning when they arrived. Flames licked at the night sky, painting everything in shades of orange and red. Emergency vehicles lined the street, their sirens cutting through the chaos of shouting men and crackling fire. Jane followed Jae-won through the perimeter, her trained eye cataloging everything. The blast pattern suggested C4, professionally placed for maximum structural damage. This wasn't a warning. This was war. Sir. One of Jae-won's men ran up, his face streaked with soot. We got most of the inventory out, but Park and his team were inside when it went off. Park didn't make it. Jae-won went very still. Park. My business manager. The same Park who'd made the suspicious 50 million won withdrawal. Jane's mind raced. Dead men couldn't confess. Couldn't reveal who they'd been working with. This was a cleanup operation, she said quietly, so only Jae-won could hear. They're eliminating loose ends. His jaw clenched. Then we need to move faster, before they eliminate all the evidence. Or all the witnesses. Jane scanned the crowd of onlookers gathering across the street. A flash of movement caught her eye. A man in a black jacket, watching them intently, phone pressed to his ear. When he noticed Jane looking, he turned and walked away quickly. Too quickly. Jae-won, 3 o'clock. Black jacket. But the man was already disappearing into an alley. Jane took off running without thinking, her instincts overriding protocol. She heard Jae-won curse behind her, heard his footsteps following. The alley was dark, lined with dumpsters and fire escapes. Her weapon was already in her hand as she rounded the corner. The man was gone. But a door hung open, leading into an abandoned building. Jane moved toward it, weapon raised, using the tactical training that was second nature now. Jae-won appeared beside her, his own gun drawn. They communicated with hand signals, years of experience letting them move as one unit despite having known each other less than a month. Jane went high, Jae-won went low. They cleared the first room, then the second. The third room wasn't empty. Lee Min-jun stood in the center, gun trained on the door, his face twisted with desperation. Stay back. Lee. Jae-won's voice was deadly calm. What are you doing here? What I have to do. Lee's gun hand was shaking. I didn't want this, any of this, but they said they'd kill my family. My wife, my daughters. What choice did I have? Who threatened you? Jane kept her weapon steady, calculating angles. Lee was unstable, desperate. The most dangerous kind of enemy. I can't tell you. If I tell you, they'll know. They'll kill everyone I love. Lee's eyes were wild. I never wanted you dead, boss. I swear. But they said if I didn't help, if I didn't give them the security codes, the schedules. The warehouse attack, Jae-won said. That was you. I gave them the information, but I didn't know they'd actually do it. I thought maybe they were bluffing, trying to scare me. Lee's laugh was broken. Then Park called me today. Said he was going to confess everything to you. Said he couldn't live with the guilt anymore. I tried to warn him, tried to tell him they'd kill him, but he wouldn't listen. So you told them, Jane said. And they blew up the warehouse with Park inside. Tears streamed down Lee's face. I'm already dead. We're all dead. You don't understand what you're up against. This is bigger than you know. Bigger than all of us. Then help us stop it, Jae-won said. Tell us who's behind this. Let me protect your family. You can't protect them. No one can. Lee raised his gun higher. I'm sorry, boss. For everything. Jane saw his finger tighten on the trigger. Saw the resolve settle over his face. She moved on pure instinct, diving forward as the gun went off. The bullet meant for Jae-won hit her vest instead, the impact stealing her breath. She crashed into Lee, using her momentum to slam him against the wall. His gun clattered away. Jane had her weapon pressed under his chin before he could recover. Talk! She gasped, her ribs screaming. Now! But Lee was already convulsing. Foam appeared at his lips. His eyes rolled back. No! Jane checked his mouth, found the shattered cyanide capsule. Damn it! Jae-won was beside her in an instant, his hands on her shoulders. Are you hurt? Vest caught it. I'm fine. But she wasn't fine. Lee was dying in front of them, taking his secrets with him. Jane grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. Lee, who threatened you? Give me a name. Lee's lips moved. Jane leaned closer, straining to hear. Hong, he whispered. Yesool? And him. Who? Jane demanded. Who else? But Lee's eyes went glassy. His body went slack. He was gone. Jane sat back on her heels, frustration and adrenaline making her shake. We were so close. Jae-won pulled her to her feet, his hands moving over her body, checking for injuries with clinical efficiency that somehow felt intimate. You took a bullet for me. I took a bullet for the investigation. We needed him alive. You could have died. But I didn't. Jane met his eyes, saw the fear there beneath the anger. I'm fine, Jae-won. His hands cupped her face, thumbs brushing her cheekbones. You're not fine. You're insane. And reckless. And... He kissed her. It wasn't like the kiss at the engagement party. That had been calculated, strategic. This was desperation and relief and something deeper that neither of them wanted to name. His lips were demanding, claiming, like he was trying to convince himself she was really alive. Jane kissed him back with equal intensity, her hands fisting in his shirt. The adrenaline, the fear, the weeks of tension, it all poured into that kiss. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, reality crashed back in. We can't do this, Jane said, even as her body screamed at her to kiss him again. I know. Your fiancé is trying to kill you. I know that too. Jae-won's forehead rested against hers. Doesn't change how I feel. How do you feel? Like I'm falling for the most infuriating woman I've ever met. His laugh was rough. Terrible timing. The worst. But Jane didn't pull away. Couldn't pull away. Lee said him. Yesool has a partner. Someone we haven't identified yet. We need to search Lee's phone, his apartment. Find the connection before they clean it up. And we need to act normal. Go to that dinner tonight. Let Yesool think we don't suspect her. Jae-won pulled back, his professional mask sliding into place. Can you do that? Sit across from the woman who's trying to kill us and smile. Can you? I've been doing it for 6 months. His smile was bitter. What's one more night? They left Lee's body for his men to handle. Drove back to Jae-won's apartment in tense silence. Jane's ribs ached where the bullet had hit the vest. She'd have a brutal bruise tomorrow. But she was alive. They were both alive. For now. Back at the apartment, Jane headed for the shower, needing to wash away the smell of smoke and death. She stood under the hot water, letting it pound against her sore muscles, trying to organize her thoughts. Lee's last words kept replaying. Hong Yesool and him. Who was him? Another lieutenant? Someone outside the organization? The partner had to be someone with resources, someone capable of coordinating professional hits and having cyanide capsules ready for witnesses. Someone they trusted. Jane was toweling off when she heard raised voices from the living room. She threw on clothes and emerged to find Yesool standing in the entryway, her face flushed with anger. You're canceling our dinner? Yesool's voice was sharp. The reservations are made. People are expecting us. 3 of my men died tonight, Yesool. Jae-won's voice was cold. Forgive me if I'm not in the mood for Michelin-starred cuisine. This is about her, isn't it? Yesool's gaze cut to Jane. Your new security consultant. Tell me, Jae-won, what exactly is she securing? Your warehouses or your bed? Careful, Jane said quietly. You're showing your true colors. Yesool's laugh was vicious. My true colors? You crash my engagement party, kiss my fiancée, and now you're living in his apartment. And I'm the one being judged. Your engagement party where someone tried to poison him, Jane pointed out. Funny how you haven't seemed very concerned about that. I've been concerned since the moment you appeared. Yesool stepped closer to Jane, her voice dropping to a hiss. You think I don't know what you are? What you're doing? You're not fooling anyone. Then what am I doing? Jane held her ground. Seducing him, using him, playing hero so you can get whatever it is you really want. Yesool's smile was cruel. But he's not yours. He never will be. We're bound by contracts, by family, by agreements that go far deeper than whatever little fantasy you two are playing at. Is that why you want him dead? The words were out before Jane could stop them. Because those contracts trap you as much as him? The room went silent. Yesool's face drained of color, then flushed red. How dare you? Enough. Jae-won's voice cut through the tension. Yesool, leave. Now. You're choosing her over me? Yesool's composure was cracking, genuine emotion bleeding through. After everything our families have built? After all the planning? I'm choosing to grieve my dead men in peace. Jae-won moved to stand beside Jane, a clear signal of alliance. We'll talk tomorrow, when everyone's calmer. Yesool looked between them, something calculating entering her expression. Fine. Tomorrow. But Jae-won, remember this. Some choices can't be unmade. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. She left, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frame. Jane released a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. That was a mistake. I pushed too hard. No, you were perfect. Jae-won's hand found hers, fingers intertwining. You rattled her. She'll make a mistake now, reach out to her partner. We'll be ready. What if we're wrong? What if she's not involved? Do you believe that? Jane thought of Yesool's reaction, the flash of panic beneath the anger. No, she's involved. The question is how deep. Jae-won's phone buzzed. He read the message, his expression darkening. Lee's apartment was cleaned out. Someone got there before my men. Everything's gone. Phone, computer, documents. All of it. They're moving fast, covering tracks. Jane's mind raced. We need to force their hand. Make them come to us. What are you thinking? I'm thinking we announce our engagement. Jae-won stared at her. What? Think about it. You breaking off the engagement with Yesool to be with me? That destroys her plan. She either has to escalate immediately or lose everything she's worked for. Jane paced the room, the strategy forming as she spoke. We make it public. Big announcement. Press coverage. Force her to act before she's ready. That puts you directly in the line of fire. I'm already in the line of fire. At least this way we control the narrative. Jane turned to face him. Unless you're not comfortable fake marrying your security consultant. Jae-won's smile was slow, dangerous. Who said anything about fake? Jane's heart skipped. Jae-won. I'm not proposing. Not really. Not like this. He moved closer, hands sliding around her waist. But Jane, when this is over, when we've caught whoever's trying to kill us, I want to explore what this is between us. Really explore it. That's a terrible idea. Probably. His forehead touched hers. But I'm a terrible man. Seems fitting. You're not terrible. Jane's hands came up to rest on his chest. Complicated. Dangerous. Morally ambiguous. But not terrible. Keep talking. I like how you see me. I see someone trying to be better than what he was born into. Someone who could have let my brother die but didn't. Someone who... He kissed her again, softer this time. Tender. Like they had all the time in the world instead of borrowed moments between assassination attempts. When they pulled apart, Jane's resolve was weakening. This is still a bad idea. The engagement announcement or this? Jae-won gestured between them. Both. All of it. But she was smiling despite herself. Let's focus on not dying first. Then we can discuss your terrible ideas. Deal. He pulled out his phone. I'll call my publicist. We'll schedule a press conference for tomorrow evening. That gives us 24 hours to prepare. And to monitor Yesool's communications. The moment we announce, she'll contact her partner. Jane grabbed her laptop. I'll set up monitoring software on all her devices. You can do that remotely? I'm very good at my job. Jane's fingers flew across the keyboard. And I have friends in the intelligence community who owe me favors. By morning, we'll know every call she makes, every text she sends, every email. They worked through the night, Jane setting up surveillance while Jae-won coordinated with his security team. Around 3 a.m., Jane found something. Jae-won, look at this. She pulled up a series of emails on her screen. These are from a secure server military-grade encryption. Took me hours to crack. He leaned over her shoulder, reading. With each line, his body went more rigid. These are contracts. For weapons shipments, drug distribution networks. Billions of won in transactions. All funneling through shell corporations. Jane highlighted a name, including one owned by your business manager, Park. The one who died in the warehouse explosion. He wasn't just working with them. He was helping them steal from me. For months. Jae-won's voice was ice. Who else is named in these contracts? Jane scrolled down, then froze. The name at the bottom of the latest contract made her blood run cold. Kim Dong-hyun, she read. Your head of security. Kim. Jae-won's hands gripped the desk edge. He's been with me for 10 years. Since I took over the organization. Which makes him perfect for a long-term infiltration. Jane pulled up more files. Look at this. He's been systematically weakening your security protocols for the last year. Subtle changes that individually mean nothing, but together, he's been leaving you exposed. To who? Who's he working for? Jane traced the money trail, following it through layers of shell corporations and offshore accounts. When she finally reached the source, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Jae-won, this money, it's coming from the Yakuza, specifically the Tanaka syndicate. His face went white. That's impossible. The Tanaka family and mine have had a peace treaty for 20 years. Not anymore. Jane showed him the communications. They've been planning this for 2 years. Systematic infiltration of your organization. Yesool was brought in specifically to get close to you, to marry you and have legal access to everything. Kim was activated to compromise your security. Park handled the financial side, siphoning funds and preparing for the takeover. And Lee, coerced. His family was really threatened. He was just a useful tool. Jane sat back, the full scope of the conspiracy becoming clear. This isn't about killing you, Jae-won. It's about destroying everything you've built. Taking over your entire operation. They want war. They want your empire, and they've been very patient in setting it up. Jane pulled up more files. The engagement party assassination attempt? That was Lee acting alone, trying to save his family. But it alerted the Tanaka syndicate that someone knew about their plan. That's why they've been accelerating, cleaning up loose ends. Jae-won was silent for a long moment, processing. When he finally spoke, his voice was deadly calm. How do we stop them? We cut off the head. Find out who Yesool's real contact is within the Tanaka syndicate. They're the one coordinating everything. Jane looked at him. And we use tomorrow's press conference as bait. Explain. We announce our engagement. It destroys their timeline, forces Yesool to contact her handler immediately. We'll be monitoring, ready to trace the call. Jane's mind was racing now, seeing the full strategy. But we also announce something else, that you're merging your organization with the Jung family. The Youngs are our biggest rivals. Exactly. It's a move the Tanaka syndicate wouldn't anticipate. It shores up your power, makes you a much harder target. Jane pulled up intelligence reports. I've been researching. Jung Min-ho has been looking for an alliance. He's facing pressure from Chinese triads. You're facing Japanese Yakuza. Together, you're much stronger. That's actually brilliant. Jae-won looked at her with something like awe. You've thought this through. It's what I do. Jane smiled. Though I should mention, a marriage alliance would make the merger more legitimate in your world. So our fake engagement would serve double duty. Still think it's fake? His hand covered hers on the keyboard. I think we have bigger problems right now than defining our relationship status. Fair point. But he didn't move his hand. Jane, if this goes wrong tomorrow. It won't. But if it does, I need you to know. Jane pressed her fingers to his lips. Don't say goodbye, don't make declarations. We're both walking out of this alive. Understand? He kissed her fingers. Understood. They spent the rest of the night preparing. At 7 a.m., Jae-won's publicist arrived to brief them on the press conference strategy. At 9, Jung Min-ho himself called, intrigued by the merger proposal. By noon, the pieces were in place. Jane dressed carefully for the conference, choosing a dark blue dress that was elegant but professional. Bulletproof vest underneath, weapon concealed at her thigh. She looked in the mirror and barely recognized herself. A month ago, she'd been a by-the-book intelligence analyst. Now she was preparing to fake marry a Mafia boss to trap a Yakuza infiltration plot. Her career was definitely over. Assuming she survived the day, Jae-won appeared in the doorway, devastating in a black suit. Ready, as I'll ever be. Jane turned to face him. Are you sure about this? Once we make this announcement, there's no going back. I've never been more sure of anything. He crossed to her, hands settling on her waist. Jane Williams, will you fake marry me to trap the people trying to kill us? Despite everything, Jane laughed. That's the worst proposal in history. I'm working with limited options. His smile faded, turning serious. But I meant what I said last night. When this is over, I want something real with you. If you'll have me. Jane's heart was pounding. This was insane. Impossible. Everything she'd been trained against. Ask me again when we're not about to walk into a trap. I will. He kissed her forehead. I promise. The press conference was held in the ballroom of Seoul's most prestigious hotel. Cameras flashed as they entered. Jane's hand tucked into the crook of Jae-won's arm. She could see Yesool in the back, her face a mask of composure. But her eyes were full of rage. Kim, the head of security, stood near the exit. Watching. Waiting. They were all here. All the players. Jae-won stepped up to the microphone, commanding immediate attention. Thank you for coming. I have 2 announcements to make. First, my engagement to Hong Yesool has been dissolved. Effective immediately. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Cameras swiveled to catch Yesool's reaction. She stood frozen. Shock painted across her face. Second, Jae-won continued, pulling Jane closer. I'm pleased to announce my engagement to Jane Williams, as well as a strategic merger between my organization and the Jung family, To be finalized with my marriage to Miss Williams next month. The room erupted. Questions were shouted. Cameras flashed. In the chaos, Jane watched Yesool pull out her phone with shaking hands. Got you, Jane thought. But then she saw Kim moving toward them, his hand inside his jacket. Saw the cold determination in his eyes. Everything happened at once. Kim pulled a gun. Jane shoved Jae-won aside. Someone screamed. And Jane found herself staring down the barrel of a weapon held by a man who had nothing left to lose. Nobody moves, Kim said calmly, or they both die. The room went silent. Jane's mind raced through scenarios, calculating odds. Her weapon was concealed, but she couldn't draw it fast enough. Not from this range. Kim, what are you doing? Jae-won's voice was steady, but Jane could feel the tension radiating from him. What I should have done months ago. Kim's gun didn't waver. The Tanaka family sends their regards. Jane saw his finger start to tighten on the trigger. Time seemed to slow down. She could dive left, maybe survive the first shot. Or she could push Jae-won further away. Save him but take the bullet herself. Not really a choice at all. She was already moving when the shot rang out. But the bullet didn't come from Kim's gun. Young Min-ho stood in the doorway, his own weapon smoking. Kim dropped, a perfect shot through the shoulder. Security poured into the room. Yesool screamed, trying to run, but was blocked by Young's men. Jane stood frozen, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. You're welcome, Young said dryly, holstering his weapon. Jae-won, you're right. We definitely need that merger. Your security is terrible. Jae-won laughed, the sound slightly hysterical. Then he grabbed Jane, pulling her into his arms, his hands running over her as if to confirm she was really unharmed. You were going to take the bullet again. It's becoming a habit, Jane managed. A terrible habit. He kissed her, right there in front of the cameras and the chaos and everyone. Deep and desperate and absolutely not fake. When they pulled apart, Young was watching with amusement. Should I come back later? Give us a minute, Jae-won said without taking his eyes off Jane. Make it 5. I need a drink after that excitement. Young moved away to coordinate with security. Jane cupped Jae-won's face. It's over. We got them. All thanks to you. His forehead rested against hers. You saved my life. Again. I'm keeping count. You'll owe me for years. I'm counting on it. He smiled. So, about that engagement. Still fake. For now. He kissed her again, softer this time. But Jane, I'm gonna make it real. Just watch me. And despite everything, despite the chaos and the danger and the complete insanity of the last month, Jane found herself smiling. I'll hold you to that. 3 months later, Jane stood on the balcony of Jae-won's penthouse, looking out over Seoul's glittering skyline. The case was closed. Yesool and Kim were in custody, the Tanaka infiltration exposed and dismantled. The Young merger had gone through, creating one of the most powerful alliances in Seoul's underworld, and Jane had resigned from Interpol. Having regrets? Jae-won appeared beside her, handing her a glass of wine. About which part? Jane took the glass, leaning into his warmth. Leaving my job? Falling for a criminal? Agreeing to actually marry you? All of it. Jane considered the question seriously. She'd given up everything. Her career, her normal life, any chance at conventional happiness. But she'd gained something too. Something real and complicated and worth fighting for. No regrets, she said finally. Though I reserve the right to change my mind if you turn out to be secretly evil. I'm openly morally questionable. Does that count? I'll allow it. Jane turned to face him, the ring on her finger catching the light. Real this time. So what happens now? Now? Jae-won set down his glass, pulling her close. Now we live. We build something better. We try to make up for the darkness in our pasts by creating light in our future. That's very poetic for a crime boss. You bring out my romantic side. He kissed her, slow and sweet. I love you, Jane Williams. Have I mentioned that today? Only 3 times. You're slacking. But her heart was warm. Full. I love you too. Even though you're terrible at proposals. I'm working on it. Just wait until our anniversary. Jane laughed, kissing him again under the stars. Somewhere in the city below, people were making deals and breaking laws and living in shades of gray. But up here, in this moment, everything felt simple. Love wasn't always convenient. It wasn't always safe. Sometimes it meant jumping in front of bullets and kissing criminals and completely destroying the life you'd planned. But looking at Jae-won, feeling the strength of his arms around her, Jane knew she'd make the same choices all over again. Some betrayals did lead to truth, and some kisses really did change everything. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This story of Jane and Jae-won shows us that sometimes the most unexpected connections become the most powerful ones. What did you think of their journey? Drop a comment below with your favorite moment, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more captivating stories like this one. Your support means everything, and I'll see you in the next story.